Welcome to Text Me Back, a parasocial journey through the brainworm tunnels inside the heads of two deranged 40-something elder millennial idiots. It's another day, another
It is.
podcast. Here we are.
Here we are. And it's possibly the greatest podcast of all time. No offense to the other ones we've done.
No offense.
Because we have a special guest. Normally we'd be like, we're doing this and then we're doing that. But first, tidings. And then we play the tidings song. It would be like a whole thing. We're not doing
I'm
any
gonna,
of that.
Megan, guess what?
What?
I'm not gonna be a freak with our special guest.
You're not?
Who I have been watching on the television for 20 years.
Yeah. What are you going to be like?
Normal,
Mm-hmm.
cool,
Yes.
hot.
Okay. I was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you going to ask them questions about weird stuff? Like
Nope.
fantasy novels? Like dragons? Or
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Nope,
Just business, baby. This person is so cool and is a comedian and also does politics in cool ways. And so I'm going to be also cool.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. I think I can commit to being normal, beautiful, and cool as well. So let's do it. Let's bring in our guest.
All right.
And introduce them. Here we go.
Text me back. Text me back. Text me back. Text me back at once.
All right, Lindy, this is the hottest day in Text Me Back podcast history. We have a sensational guest joining us today. I'm going to introduce them. Are you excited?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you mean temperature hot, spicy hot, or sexy hot?
All of the above, baby.
Ooh.
Our guest today is friggin' Lizz Winstead, dude. The co-creator and former head writer of The Daily Show, co-founder of Air America Radio, and she helped change the very landscape of how people get their news. Lizz continues to do stand-up and make appearances on cable news, yet spends most of her time, thank God, helming Abortion Access Front, which we need so much, an inclusive NYC-based reproductive rights organization she founded in 2015. She is now the host of the AAF podcast Feminist Buzzkills, which drops Fridays everywhere you get your podcast, so you better listen to it. You better download Text Me Back and then download Feminist Buzzkills and then listen to them back to back constantly. And as if that weren't enough, she's currently starring in the documentary No One Asked You, which is currently traveling to film festivals all over the country. Welcome, Liz!
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be with both of you. I'm kind of fangirling. It's kind of great.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, Liz.
Not a hero and a legend. Fangirling over these two sacks of shit.
I love you sacks of shit like nobody's business.
You angel. You perfect angel.
Yes, on the conundrum. You are like 10. You are 11 on the dial of sacks of shit.
You
Amazing.
hear that?
Yes.
You hear that, folks? If you want to support two 11 rated sacks of shit,
yes,
subscribe to our Patreon immediately.
Immediately. What are you even doing?
Yeah. If you want constant behind the scenes dispatches from inside the sack.
It's a sack attack.
Yeah.
Yes, 1000%.
Smash that subscribe button.
We should change our show description to Sack Attack.
Yeah, we should.
Something to think about.
I think sack attack. Fun.
Okay, Lizz Winstead, will you please tell us about your documentary, No One Asked You?
Sure. It's, when somebody, it's wild because, so I've been doing this abortion hullabaloo in earnest for like 9 years. And to give an indication of, in a nutshell, of what we do at Abortion Access Front, we're sort of this hybrid of, let's say, a USO show for abortion combined with Habitat for Humanity. What does that mean, Liz? You ask. Well, it means that I pile up all of my pals who are comics and musicians in a van, and then we drive around to mostly independent abortion providers, and we do shows with the comedy music shows, and then we incorporate the local activists and the people providing the care into the show. So there's conversations, and then they table at the show. So the hope is that we're creating activist spaces from our audiences to then in turn get them to sign up to work locally and do that. And the dirty thing that a lot of people don't really get about clinics that are working in hostile environments, which is everywhere, is that you can't get a plumber or somebody to fix your fence or somebody to paint your clinic. So they tell us in advance, like a big works project that they have. And my team is so nerdy, full of like extracurricular talents that we can pretty much do one of the things they want. And then we tell the audience that they for real need someone to maintain it. And so then we do that together. So we've painted clinics, we've done their lawn, we've redone their gardens, we fixed their fences. And sometimes they just need like there was a clinic that said, we have no time to actually bond with each other and get to know each other. Can you help us figure out a way to do that? And I said, well, would you be willing to do procedures half a day, so that like let's stop at noon and then the staff can stay, because staff can't do extracurricular stuff sometimes. Maybe they don't have childcare. Like there's a lot of reasons that people can't just be hanging out all the time. So they said yes. So we brought in a hot tub to the parking lot and a taco truck to the clinic, and then they could hang out and drink beer, and we made margaritas, and then we got like dollar store face masks and rub their shoulders, and they got to talk to each other for the first time ever in the history of the clinic. They got to actually hang out during clinic time and got to know each other. And so we do all this kind of stuff. And so the documentary has followed us around for 7 years doing all of this work. And so you see it in real time, like how it is, what we go through, the anti-abortion brigade of bullshit that follows us from city to city. And yeah, it's pretty, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a feeling like, wow, activism it's a lot of different things. It can be 5 minutes a month writing a postcard. It can be taken to the streets. It can be baking. It can be really anything. And I think that we don't tell people that enough. We're kind of like, let's have a march, and then it's like, and what? It's like being an anger fluffer. So it's kind of like let's meet people where they are. So that's kind of our goal. So that's the documentary. So following that, the lives of our wild band of abortion evangelists that parade around the country.
I love that. I do think sometimes there's this desire when it comes to protests or activism that you should be doing it all the time, and that it's bad to ever turn your attention to something else when you are opposed to something, or if you're fighting against like an injustice. But I think what you're talking about is kind of like actually kind of critical to healthy movements, are those moments where you're meeting people where they're at. Some people can't make calls all day, but they can do it for 5 minutes a day, or they can send texts for 30 minutes a day or whatever, finding those moments of like real joy. Cause it's like, what are you really fighting for if you're not like having a good time at least some of the time?
Yeah.
But I'm curious, you were talking a little bit about activism can be a lot of different things. And I'm just curious if your creative life, your creative pursuits have always been this deeply political, or do you feel yourself becoming more radicalized as our rights are being further eroded / eliminated?
I mean, I think there's been always an element of I'm a woman in comedy, so there's injustice. Just the fact that you've decided that you are entitled to have stage time is a radical act. And once I realized that I could be telling the lamest jokes on the planet, that the fact that people were so angry that I decided to occupy space and time, I just said to myself, well, I might as well say shit I actually care about. So it evolved, certainly. In my personal life, I grew up in Minneapolis. I've always had sort of radical politics and sort of punk rock and feminism, and all of this stuff was like in comedy, was all living in one neighborhood in one space, and a lot of times 90 of us in one apartment and working at the same 6 restaurants. Very much like Seattle, I think, in that way, right? And so that kind of community just really fostered. And then cold winters, this whole like insular storytelling piece was crucial. So I think I always had that. And then I think it just evolved over time to where the more I recognized the media was lying to us, and that was like in the early 90s, and that people were just getting wrong information, and that information was harming people. Not to mention I'm 62, and like the Reagan administration, like I don't have very many gay friends my age because they all died. All of those things were just catalysts for just, why not say it? If someone, and if I can use humor to do it, I I feel like I just always wanted to. And I remember being at the Daily Show, and it was really like, it's comedy first, you're not an activist. And I always was like, well, I am an activist, and so I tried to stick it out, and then, the first host was a shithead and I left, and I was like, I never want to do something where somebody says I can't be multiple things, because that's not even how people work. Like, people,
Yeah.
when a
Well,
man
that's
can
really
say to you, you're not this, it's like,
yeah.
honey, we're all a bunch of stuff.
Well, it's interesting because then, obviously the Daily Show morphed into something with a very strong point of view that was, activist and political and fascinating stuff, Liz.
Yeah, exactly. It coming out of a man's mouth, it somehow
Yeah,
all makes,
different. Yeah.
makes it better.
That
Yeah.
just, that dichotomy is such a stupid man thing to even believe in, because the decision to make a political comedy is a political decision. To be like, well, I'm never going to bring politics into what I'm saying. Like, yeah, then you just did it. You just did
Yes.
politics.
Oops.
Sorry.
Exactly. Sorry, you're not that good at it, but you just did it. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. I mean, it feels so wild. And I just also feel too like and I guess it's part of, I think, what gave me, and I'm sure you both feel this way too, once you realize you are comfortable having an opinion or having a set of beliefs, when people disagree with them, you can have a conversation. When people hate you for it, you're like, that's fine. We don't share that, and you are hateful, and I have no extra time on this earth. And so I'm just going to try to create more of people who are more open and like-minded, and try to marginalize you. Because people are always like, why aren't you trying to change people's minds on abortion? And I was like, because there's so many people that don't care about it at all, who actually are for it, that I would like to activate them rather than waste my time with somebody who has decided I am literally the spawn of Satan and can look at me with dead eyes and say, your behavior has allowed me by the laws of God to harm you. That person I'm not going to waste my time with.
Also,
Yeah.
abortion is popular. So
Yeah.
It's popular.
it's
know,
popular.
yeah.
We're just all being like scammed and strong armed by a handful of creeps. So
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. It's
Well,
like, come on now.
we sort of ended up in this situation where even people who are ostensibly on our side are like, well, of course I support abortion, but it's like, it's gross the way you're talking about it now. Like, I still hear that now. In 2024, people are saying like, oh, you shouldn't say you're pro-abortion. That'll alienate people. It's like, but I am. I am in favor of abortion. I love good for abortion. I'm glad it exists.
Yes.
And I think we've been like all through the 90s really browbeat into this idea that you should stigmatize it. Like, it's okay that it exists, but it's not good. It's
Right.
really bad.
And how that affects providers. And I mean, I've had 3 abortions. My sisters actually call me Terminator 3. And each time I had my abortion, it was very necessary for me. And like, there's no good abortions. There's no bad abortions. There's just the one you want. But I'll tell you a story. So we just lost this is crazy, $75,000 in funding, because a lot of rich, conservative, but pro-choice people will fund abortion. And they said that we were too hard on Republican women who might be on our side. And then also our violent support of Black Lives Matter was off-putting to the Family Foundation.
Oh
So, and you're just like, bye. Like, there's no like, but let's have a conversation about it. It's like, we're going to have to have somebody start baking, you just kind of like, because it's like, I don't want your creepy money. And the fact that you're weirdly monitoring our social media and what you get from the fact that people are literally dying and being harmed is, you should be nicer to Republican women, is really next level. And you shouldn't give us a penny. Yeah. Actually, you should not give us any money, because we don't share values. People are dying. So, because Republican women are garbage and traitors.
Correct.
Yeah.
No.
My God.
Like, they're doing an evil thing on purpose.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
While knowing that they'll still be able to get abortions.
Right.
Exactly.
It's evil.
Also, it's like, you would rather the ghoul you married, who is keeping you in this racist country club and gated neighborhood and car that was probably made by Nazis, like everything about your life that you find comfortable, has been on the backs of so many people. But you're pro-choice, then I should entertain you for that reason. It's like, I don't know.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, I will say that I just did a Planned Parenthood fundraiser like a month ago, and when I started talking about abortion and doing, public speaking at abortion galas and whatever, Planned Parenthood did not say the word abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And they definitely didn't say pro-abortion. And at this fundraiser a month ago, the like step and repeat had a big thing that said we are pro-abortion. It said like I'm pro. It said pro-abortion on the sign, and I was like, hey guys,
You did
good
it.
job, look at you.
I
Lindy,
feel
I
so-
feel like people like you and Amelia and us and all of us, who literally we all sort of started this abort, like we all were like annoyed at the same time, and we
Yeah.
all kind of escalated at the same time, right? And I believe that it is our destigmatization of the word and all of that stuff that got to Planned Parenthood, because I was the same way, Lindy, when I did a couple of Planned Parenthood events like back in like 2012, 2013, and they were like, our audience is older, so really watch the abortion language and the swearing. And it was some 35-year-old, and I said, honey, these people invented free fucking.
Yeah.
These people are literally the free love movement. Are you high? Like, that is like so ageist and bullshit. And these people are here because abortion and
They
because
can handle it. Yeah.
they're awesome. I don't know where you're at, but like talk to them because they're
Well,
dope.
That's so infantilizing. So my experience was, my background is working on, judicial nominations, working on Supreme Court issues. And I really and so for a while I was working on the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. I'm sorry. I tried, Liz. I did my best.
No, bless you. I know we all tried, honey. There's just like, there's just Sisyphus, a lot of Sisyphus going
but there's a couple things that really struck me about that situation. And one was we did a nationwide tour. The organization I was working for at the time did a big tour. So anyway, and a lot of like older women were there, and Planned Parenthood brought them, and they got on the mic and they were like just telling their abortion stories from pre-1973. And it was one of the most poignant things I've ever experienced as a person, to watch these women who had like lived through this reality where abortion wasn't legal and was really inaccessible, and their experience having one. So it's very strange and paternalistic almost to be like, oh, don't offend the old people by talking about abortion. It's like, they were in the trenches, man. Like, for real, like we have abortion because of them and the shit that they went through.
Yeah, they were also our guinea pigs for birth control. Think about the amount of progesterone and all the things that were in like first run birth control. It was like, what are we? People were like literally just growing full beards. Like, things were just happening. And it was like, well, if that's your choice, great. But if it's not, then this is something that we need to talk about. Yeah.
And then post Dobbs, I remember having really similar conversations with women who had lived through pre-1973, who had found ways to get abortions even though it wasn't legal, and standing outside the Supreme Court in tears, and saying like, I can't believe my granddaughter has fewer rights than I do.
Yeah,
it's like, people are not fragile. It's okay to just like say what's going on.
Don't say abortion in front of that lady.
Yeah.
Why?
This woman who's crying over her grandchild, like, I think she can handle it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think it's interesting too, because the amount of people who were surprised that Roe fell should say everything about what people know. And quite frankly, I am somebody, and Abortion Access Front, like, we're trying to everything we can to stop framing this restore Roe narrative, because Roe wasn't enough. We all know. And being on the ground and working with folks who need the care the most, abortion's been inaccessible for the lion's share of people for a super long time, because of the massive potholes in Roe that led us to the 1992 Supreme Court case that allowed states to put whatever the fuck regulations they wanted to do. And that's where we're at. So we need to look at abortion as, how are we going to take it out of any criminal code? I'm sure, put it in, it needs to be health regulated. Absolutely. Nobody wants a dirty clinic, but like, that's all it is. Health regulations. Why somebody needs an abortion, how they get that abortion has nothing to do with policing or criminalization. And unless we get there, we're going to keep in this cycle of bad stuff.
It's kind of one of the silver linings, I guess, of Dobbs is there was this actually during the Kavanaugh confirmation. I remember I had never felt such hostility from like the press about the idea that the Supreme Court could overturn Roe than I felt during that confirmation process. And like regular people, not like Fox News, like, you know, New York Times reporters, Atlantic reporters are basically saying, well, there's no way the Supreme Court's going to overturn Roe. You're being hysterical. That's crazy. That's never going to happen. And it was so obvious. It was like, no, this is like a 50-year project, starting with Roe, or you could even go back to Brown v. Board with Republican activists saying, we cannot have justices on the Supreme Court who give people constitutional rights. We can't have that.
Right.
Like, this is the whole point. This is why Brett Kavanaugh exists. And you're going to sit there and tell me that, you know, we're all hysterical because we all know for a fact he's going to vote to overturn Roe. And then it happened. And it was like, oh, well, oops.
I know. I know. And even their shit takes on like, oh, they're not gonna take the Mississippi case because it's been thrown back twice by the Fifth Circuit. It's like, oh, they are and will. And then they overreached and did it. Like all of us were saying it. And that's the part that feels like when you're gaslighting sort of, you know, people like us who are kind of that last gasp of being in the streets and saying at the top of our lungs, like, please pay attention, you know, but they just know best. They all have their hot takes and they know best. And
well, they've been following the court for forever. You don't know what you're talking about.
I know. Yeah. You haven't had that experience and seen it and examined state legislatures, things they've never done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they never reported on any of the trends. You know, it's like, look at Wendy Davis and the other 26 states that have this exact piece of legislation in their legislatures right now. Well, do they have hot women in sneakers doing a thing? Because maybe I'll cover it if that's a thing. My God.
What are the Republicans? Why are they so bad? They just want little kids to die? Like, what do you want? Like 9-year-olds to die in childbirth? What is wrong with you? I can never get past this. I feel like I'm constantly like, okay, but what percentage of is like deliberately evil? Because I don't think they think of themselves as evil, and I don't get it. My brain I can't arrange the blocks in a way where they fit together. And I don't know. I feel like it's been driving me mad for 40 years. What are they? Why?
I don't think that we have ever found like fulfillment and joy from the drive to have absolute domination.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I like a picnic. Like, you know, it's like, it's none of it. And so I think, you know, preserving a power structure that depends on all of us being in service of that means that they got a lot of work to do, and we don't want to be in service of their power structure. We weren't part of creating it. We aren't part of the power, any of it. So I think that that's why they're mad. And I think then you have the subsets, right? There's the person I'm having an affair with can have an abortion. That's fine. You know, those people, the country clubby, just weird, racist, rich, awful, that corporatist people who didn't understand this Christian nationalist arm of their party that was so powerful and how those people were organizing. And now all of a sudden you have the awful people and then the Christian nationalist people. And I even think like back in the Bush days that the traditional just shitbag racist Republicans did not understand the Christian army that was being formed under Bush. I don't think they got it.
Yeah, I don't think they do either. I think there's a piece of this where it was like, well, it's politically helpful for us to mobilize the religious right, and we can do that by promising all these freaky things. Because it actually didn't used to be the case that evangelicals even cared that much about abortion. You know, It was like really like a Catholic thing.
Yeah, well, then all of a sudden they couldn't be racist in their school, so they had to go to abortion.
Exactly.
Like,
so it was like, well, let's pick this other thing. And so now it just feels like this big. And so I think they miscalculated just how powerful that wing of Or maybe they didn't. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a miscalculation, but maybe just didn't give enough credence to how powerful that wing of the party would come. And so now I think you have a bunch of Republicans who don't really care that much about abortion, but don't care if it has negative impacts on people.
Right.
either,
Right.
You
Because
know?
they aren't the people.
Right.
People just flock to power, and that's why
Yes.
now TERFs are into
Yes.
evangelical Christians. It's
Yes.
Oh my God, that
Okay.
Yes.
whole wild. And then there's that organization that's called Pro-Life Progressive Uprising. Their acronym is POW.
Oh.
And they were the ones, if y'all remember the story of those wackadoodles who stole fetuses from a truck in Washington, D.C., 115 fetuses, and then passed them around to anti-abortion organizations, and they were doing unboxing videos, and then they were putting them in coolers and in freezers in their house. And yeah, we don't know where those charges are being pressed. Yes.
But,
almost
but the
like
people who
you
got the
guys-
abortions are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost like you guys don't care about fetuses.
Turns out if you're having unboxing videos on YouTube and then like you didn't turn them over, like if you got fetuses off a truck, like they were clearly in, no one's clear on how they got these fetuses. Because the company that does they pick up medical stuff at clinics said we didn't give them to them. So either they stole them or they were in cahoots or whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't know how they got them. But if you got them and you thought that there was nefarious play at work here, you don't go to the police. You go on Facebook Live and open up a box, not even understanding how you would traumatize someone, what that is, what that means. But nobody said anything was done terrible except by the fetus thieves. Yeah, so that's the progressive, and their communications director just got thrown in jail for like 4 years for invading clinics. So yay.
Oh.
Not for stealing the fetuses. That's that's pending.
I love how progressive that is.
Really
So
progressive. Also did this was awesome. They did a press conference with Ted Cruz, also very progressive.
Mm-hmm.
And then another woman that spoke at their press conference went on a tear and talked about the little known fact, and it's so little known that no one's ever heard of it until she said it in front of a microphone, that the city of Washington, D.C. was being powered by the fetuses that come from the abortion clinics in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Literally said the lights and the electricity powered by the clinics. I'm like, I can't even get my phone to charge on a solar phone. So
don't think that
I don't think that there's a big
an energy source.
I mean, I'm not, here's the deal. Radical. It's clean energy. So I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm saying it's not happening.
It's definitely not happening.
Look, if you can power a city on a little glob of mucus, God bless.
You should win the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, but you gotta the amount of infrastructure, and you'd need teams of inventors to come up with the furnace and how, you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem plausible to me.
It just
you could just Google the patent and see if it exists.
First
off, go to the patent office, see if there's a patent for the electricity. I don't know. I don't know what we're calling it.
I'm worried about where we're going.
Here's the deal. We're laughing now. Cut to next year.
I know.
We're all behind bars because we wouldn't join the fetus, I don't know, replication
cores. Yeah.
thing. I don't know. So whatever.
Okay. Last question on this. I just what does capitalism want the world to look like? It's okay, abortion aside, it's the entertainment industry is destroyed. You can't make a TV show that lasts more than one season if you make a TV show at all. Everything's just a Marvel movie. There's no more snow, so there's no skiing.
Mm-hmm.
What are these rich people gonna do? You can't watch TV. You can't go skiing. I just don't understand. What's the vision? What's the vision? What are you gonna do with your time?
I don't know. This is the thing that's so bizarre because, I always thought for capitalism to work, that you had to have a class of people who could also buy the shit that you were making. Isn't
Right.
that like how it works? Like, they've sold us such bullshit like trickle down economics and all this Kinsey. None of it is plausible. And I think that this crop of people are too stupid to even understand how to expand their own greed. I think
Right.
that right? It's like, oh, you're too
Yeah.
dumb to know how to get even richer.
Right.
I mean, our president bankrupted a fucking casino and a meat company. What do Americans like? Meat and gambling. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's like restaurants can't even stay open because the rent is too high. There's not going to be any more fish. You can't have sushi.
Yeah. No more
Yeah.
sushi. All of your
If there's
employees are dying of
rainforests are gone,
sepsis.
yeah, rainforests are gone. There's no chocolate. Like, what are you doing?
I don't really get the vision either. And then on top of all that, nobody's allowed to do anything or go anywhere or have, fun or be in relationships or be gay or, it's like
Yeah.
what? Who? What?
And all the shit they like queer people make are liberals make. So like there's your yacht party that you pay some Dave Matthews Band to play at, or somebody who's probably
Yes.
kind of liberal but would play on a yacht party. Like
Yeah.
they might not play on your yacht party. I don't know.
Well, a lot of celebrities like go sing at like Sultan's birthday parties for $1 million.
Yeah,
I bet
yeah,
they would
those
I bet
secret
like
sultan
Rihanna would,
parties.
yeah, Rihanna would go to a yacht party for $1 million. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
Anyway,
is that what's going to happen? Everybody's just going to have to go to like a creepy
yeah.
yacht party for $1 million. Here in New York, we often think about when Trump was the jury was being selected. It's like, would you, we're like, would you stay on? Do you think you could be objective? Would you, when you said, I don't think I could be objective because this piece of shit, and like literally give a speech before you were thrown out so that you could say it to Trump? But would that also be like, oh, he can't get a trial here that's fair, so they'd have to move the trial? Like there was a lot of conversation around like what your capacities would be if you were in the jury pool that got selected.
I can't believe they found 12 people who were capable of being
it-
fair.
Is it illegal to lie and be like, no, I don't know who that is?
Well, if they found out, that would be perjury.
Yeah.
Sadly. Yeah.
How would they find out?
Great question.
Who's
I
going to
don't
tell
know.
them?
Not me. I will keep a secret.
Okay,
I
thanks.
mean, I could never say that. I have social media.
No. I did get called in for a jury duty. I didn't get selected, but I did get called in for a January 6th defendant. And I could not lie. I had to be like, I think Donald Trump is a piece of shit. And so if the question on the table is, did Donald Trump incite this riot? No, I cannot be fair because he did. He sucks.
But that wasn't the question on the table.
That wasn't the question. The question on the table was, did this man steal a hat rack and a bottle of whiskey out of the U.S. Capitol? And I was like, well, I don't know the answer to that question. I haven't seen the evidence. But I was not selected.
They should have picked
Oh my
you.
God.
I know, I would have been so fair.
Imagine just that being bewitched by Donald Trump. Like what the lack of anything full in your life.
I know.
Yeah.
That person can fill it.
That reminds me of a question that Megan and I have been struggling with, and I'm curious about your take as a professional comedian. Megan and I have a big problem emotionally with the fact that we find Donald Trump so funny. Why is he so funny?
Why is he so
everything
funny?
he does so stupid and funny?
Everything
Why does he have to be?
It's hard. It's hard.
What do we do?
I mean, you laugh.
Yeah.
You laugh at him, as because I mean, I laugh at him all the time but also, and then contextualize it by saying dangerous.
It's like the danger he poses is almost what makes it funnier when he says, I hate sharks, or
Yes,
you know what I mean? It's like you're the most fascist, most corrupt president we've ever had, no question, and you're just announcing to everyone that you're afraid of sharks. Like he
tweeted, "Sorry, folks, I'm not a fan of sharks."
Yeah.
Why'd you tweet that?
I mean, here's the thing. This is why it's funny. But also, sometimes things can be terrifying and hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
when he was when somebody called him out for quoting Hitler and Mein Kampf, and he's like, basically wasn't upset. He was like, well, I was paraphrasing. I said it better. I'm better at Mein Kampfing than Hitler. It's like, that's how he took it. Like, I'm better at Mein Kampfing than Hitler. It was like, maybe he had a kernel of an idea, but I'm better at it. And it's just like, wow, it doesn't even matter what people say to you. You just want to be better than whoever it is.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Remember when he said that Hannibal Lecter is a big fan of his?
Yes.
He was a great man.
He said congratulations to the late great Hannibal.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, okay. I just like, and like the whole lore, like nothing's ever been funnier or ever will be funnier than Four Seasons Total Landscaping.
Nothing. How about that?
And I just don't know. It gives me like an existential crisis. You didn't have to live in this world. Like, say we lived in a world where justice reigned and you didn't have to beg for your human rights all the time. What would you make? Who would you be? Do you feel like do you have like secret little niche interests that you don't get to pursue because you have to because people are constantly stealing your humanity?
Well, I would say that part of the game is you have to, what did Audre Lorde say? Self-care is a radical act. So I refuse to allow them to steal my joy. And that's why I kind of, going way back, Megan, to what you were talking about when people were like, people get there's a lot of affronting around people having joy in a time where there's crisis happening all the time. And people need to have joy. Like, you need to be able to have joy, and you need to be able to express that joy so that you can carry on. So I love cooking. I love cooking for people. Food is a big passion of mine. I love Scrabble. I love a pontoon boat. Like, I also live part of the time in Minneapolis. I have a place in Minneapolis and in Brooklyn, and I am on a boat as much as I can, floating around on a lake. So I love travel. I love, my perfect night would be like having people over at someone's house, or at my house, or being at someone's house and cooking food and playing games. I have a piano. My house, I have a house with two friends in Minnesota, and one of my housemates plays the piano. And so oftentimes, I love those old timey movies where people are around the piano and singing, and you're eating and drinking, and having a fire. Those kind of things are what gives me joy, and I make sure that happens for me so that I can do the work.
Yeah.
So come to Minneapolis. We can have a fire pit in my backyard. Sing
love
alongs.
Minneapolis.
Come on now. Come on. You're invited. That's
you
fun.
can be
But what do you
the
guys do to chill?
Oh man, I love to watch just slop on TV. I really do.
I do too.
I
I
really
like
don't
teen
watch-
dramas
Me
and
too.
college kid. I just watched the one from Germany. It's called, oh my God, something Hall, like Mandak Hall or something. It's like German, but but they have hot British accent translations. It's a lot of kind of modern day bodice rippy kind of hot guy who's misunderstood and falls in love with
love that
scholarship student, and her dad's in a wheelchair, and everyone's represented, and it's any kind of garbage that bring it to me.
It has to be garbage, otherwise it doesn't work. I really just can't watch prestige television shows. I can't watch Succession. I can't watch shows like that. It's I don't know. It's just
I like some of those, but I really like Riverdale. Oh my God, count me in. I love Always Be My Maybe, loved.
Riverdale is even more fun if you decide for yourself that it's happening in the same universe as Twin Peaks, because there's some overlap with the actors.
Yes.
It's even more fun that way.
Yes. Or if you think you're going to find Jingle Jangle.
Yeah, hell yeah. Riverdale's so good. I'm so glad you said that.
Yes, yeah.
I like to read fantasy novels and pretend like I don't exist. And which brings me to the most important question of the day. If you were a dragon, what color would your scales be, and what kind of special power would you have?
Okay, so my scales would probably be more I'm a big fan of the sort of in the aqua darker blue family.
Mhm.
So like peacocky
That's
in the
good.
peacocky family, right?
Yep.
And I would probably, I think it would be really fun if when something shot out of your face that it exposed people for who they really are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it just reduced them to their shit. So then it would be like, oh, that's who you are. I'm no longer afraid. And like, and then maybe if they were reduced to it and it was out there, people could be like, hey, that's okay. We're afraid to come over here. It could be a win.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say that you that you breathe like an abortive patient.
Oh, that would be fun. If I could
That's
just breathe people unpregnant, that would also be a
Yeah.
fun.
That's tear
That-
gas.
I know
yeah.
as I was saying it, I was like, the cops already do
The
that.
cops have
Yes.
that. All right. Liz Winstead, we're about to play a game, but before we do that, can you please tell the good people listening to this podcast how they can be involved with AAF, where they can see your documentary, and where they can continue to help you do this amazing work?
Do all things. You can find us on social media at Abortion Front, and that's like on every platform. I am at Lizz Winstead. I spell my name with 2 Z's because I'm an asshole. and you can find our work. Our website's aafront.org, and there you have like all kinds of volunteer opportunities, Operation Save Abortion, Expose Fake Clinics. We do a lot of stuff, and you can sign up and volunteer and donate there. And the documentary is right now in film, going around to all these film festivals everywhere. If you are listening and you will be in Provincetown next week, we'll be at the Provincetown Film Festival. I'll be there doing a conversation on June 13th and 15th. And that's also on our social media or in our link. Yeah, it's in our like link tree on our social media.
Coincidentally, this episode is airing on June 13th. So if you're listening and you're in Provincetown, get your ass over there tonight.
Okay.
All right, Liz Winstead, you're the best person.
This is so fun. Thanks for having me. It felt like we were just hanging out. I honestly was like, I honestly am like, I just want to, if I'm never going to hardly ever get to see people I like or meet them, put me on a podcast so we can just hang out and talk. It's like the way to do life, I feel like.
Liz Winstead, your podcast is Feminist Buzzkills. It drops every Friday, everywhere you get your podcasts. The documentary is No One Asked You. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to fuck, marry, and kill, and do some other stuff to members of Congress. So stay tuned.
Back to Text Me Back. We're here with the great Lizz Winstead, a true hero of mine. For many, many years, so honored. And in your honor, we've created a stupid game.
I love a stupid game every time. Please, please, please.
So we're calling this game F.M.K.I.H.B.F.D.T.
The famous game
The famous
that you
game.
know and love.
It's a thing we like to do on this show where we play FMK, Fuck, Marry, Kill, but it's boring to just do it with 3. There's so many colorful characters in the world. So I think we usually do we have 9 again? Yeah, it's 9.
Yeah.
And it's always 9 because the first one we did was Lord of the Rings themed. And there are 9 members of the Fellowship of the Ring. So now 9 has become the number, but then we did a Supreme Court one, also 9.
Also
so
9.
It's just 9 is canon. So we have 9 categories for you, and then we have 9 characters for you to sort into the categories. Your categories are fuck, as in sexy intercourse. Marry, kick in the butt, because we're not trying to catch any heat from the Capitol Police. They've suffered enough. Imprison, hex them so that they fall down the Capitol steps live on CNN, and as they're falling down, their pants fall down and their whole ass is exposed to all of America, and then they fart or shit themselves. You can pick.
Maybe they shart themselves.
Yeah, they shart. They shart
themselves.
A rainbow. Dewdrops glisten in the rays of the sun and form a shart rainbow. Okay. Bring to your family reunion, Freaky Friday mind swap, do karaoke with, and which song? Throw into the Sarlacc pit from Star Wars, which famously in the interior of the Sarlacc contains some sort of enzyme that keeps their consciousness alive while they are slowly digested for thousands of years painfully. That's what it says on the Star Wars. Oh boy.
All you have to know is that they're gonna be alive inside of a creature's stomach for thousands of years while they are slowly digested. So it's like they're being
So it's like
tortured for
Robert
thousands of
Kennedy
years.
Jr.'s earworm.
Yes, exactly.
You know what? We're changing the category.
Yeah.
I think Sarlacc pit is a little bit hack. And I blame myself. I take responsibility for that. It's now new category is slowly digested by RFK Jr.'s brainworm over the course of thousands of years while
Yes,
fully
thank you.
conscious.
Great.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
game now is F.M.K.I.H.B.F.D. No, wait. Yes.
D.
F.M.K.I.H.B.F.D.
It could just
S.
be P. It could be thrown into the stomach of
RFK's brain.
Yeah,
Okay.
you'll have to be made microscopic first, but that's fine. That's just part of the spell. That's
just part of it. Okay, so those are your categories. Your contestants, if you will, are as follows: Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, Little Creepy Weaselman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, either at the Beetlejuice musical or in Congress. You pick which one. Jim Jordan, either with a blazer or without. That's also your call. Insurrectionist fan Senator Josh Hawley, retired congressperson and winner of my Somehow the Nicest Person in Congress award, Mark Meadows, the Dark Lord himself, Mitch McConnell, mother enthusiast Mike Pence, and token not Republican Joe Manchin. So those are your contestants.
Megan, I feel like you should explain why you love Mark Meadows. Just really quick.
Okay,
I was about to. You took it right out of my mouth.
Okay, really,
what?
Yeah, Liz, I should have never put this on here because it's actually very embarrassing for me.
Oh my God, go ahead.
But this podcast is all about being vulnerable. So Lindy's favorite thing to ask, if you work in an industry that Lindy doesn't work in, her favorite thing to ask is who's the nicest person and who's the meanest person in the industry where you work. And so she's always like, who's the nicest person in Congress? Or who's the meanest person in Congress? And all of them are the meanest in a way. It's hard to, it just depends on how you're ranking them. It's just that. Okay, so I worked on the Hill from 2015 to 2018. And the person I worked for was assigned to the Oversight Committee, which had at the time Mark Meadows as a member. And weirdly enough, Mark Meadows, and this was pre-Trump. Well, Trump was alive, but he wasn't president. So Mark Meadows was very jovial and very kind. And he was the only member of Congress ever in my 3 years of working there who ever asked me what my name was. Everyone else just treats staffers as though they are invisible little lemmings who are not real people with rich inner lives. They're just pretend you don't exist. And Mark Meadows knew my name. And every time I saw him, he'd be like, Megan.
That's so weird.
It was so weird. And I'm not saying he's a good person, but he was weirdly the nicest person to me in Congress. And so then, I leave Congress and then Donald Trump becomes the president. And next thing I know, freaking Mark Meadows is Donald Trump's chief of staff. And he's organizing an insurrection. Yeah. And I was like, Mark, what the hell?
He's also the nicest guy to ever organize an overthrow of the government.
That's so
true. Sweet. He knew my name. He knew every insurrectionist person's name.
When I showed up there with my gallows and he said, Megan, hi.
Oh, Megan.
Oh, it's so nice to see you.
He made sure everybody wrote Mike Pence on their gallows so that everybody would know Mike Pence's name.
Yeah, he was organizing activities. He's so nice.
So nice.
Anyway, so he's one of your contestants. You can have your way with him. Liz, so.
Yeah, you don't have to take into account the fact that he was nice to Megan once.
You don't. Okay.
Just for starters, an easy one.
Yeah.
Who are you gonna fuck?
Yeah, who are you fucking?
We know Boebert is horny.
Yeah, she's really horny.
So I would probably fuck. Oh, this is why. I'm gonna fuck Josh Hawley. Because whenever I pick these things, I always try to say, whose career do I want to ruin the most by having them fuck me so I can tell everyone? And so that would be Josh Hawley. But also, because Josh Hawley's wife is the lawyer
That's
for
right.
both of these abortion cases
That is right.
that are before the Supreme Court. She is like one of the prime lawyers at the Alliance for Defending Freedom and an absolute fucking dark lord. If I
She's
could
evil.
destroy her life by fucking her husband and then destroy her husband's career, I feel like my vagina is a goddamn patriot. So
I love the reasoning. It's
Such
so
a good
good.
answer. See, you're so good at this game.
no, I love this
Okay.
game. When you're like,
Uh,
do you want to do this game? I'm like, what are you even saying?
It's
Okay.
a good game.
So Mary,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm going to go to Mary. And I think that what I'm going to do is I would probably marry Mitch McConnell because he would forget that he was married to me. So that feels easy. That feels like,
Yeah.
oh, he's not going to remember. So it's all good. I'm not going to have to live there. I don't have to have sex with him. Although Elaine Chao scares me, but she's not great.
But you probably only have a couple years left.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
Exactly.
last for long.
You know,
Yeah.
and then you
Well-
get to inherit the McConnell estate, which I assume is
Which
evil
actually-
and vast.
Belongs to Elaine Chao, I think. So
Well, but in this scenario, something's happened to her.
sure.
She's evaporated.
She's evaporated.
She's gone.
Um,
All
She
right.
turned into a
Liz-
dragon and flew away.
Liz, who are you going to kick in the butt?
In the butt, I would say who I would kick in the butt is probably Joe Manchin. If I
Mhm.
could kick him in the butt off the boat and
Yes.
like accidentally have tied an anchor to his ankle when I kicked him
Mm.
off the boat. Not unlike Ripley, very Ripley-esque kind of move with the accidental kick in the butt. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I'm so sorry. How did that, look at that wrapping around his ankle with the anchor and then he goes down and I can't swim either. And like, oh my God. And we're so far out and I'm trying to paddle back as fast as I can. But
But
so
you're going in
sorry.
the opposite direction. Whoops a
Mm.
daisy.
Oops.
Oh,
No sense of
no.
direction. See, everything you said about women, it's true.
Oh, my brain don't work, Joseph.
Who let me
Oh.
out of the house? So I think Joe Manchin gets kicked in the booty. Who
Love
would
it.
I imprison? I would say I would imprison MTG.
Mm-hmm.
Put Marjorie Taylor Greene in prison so she can work on her, her bad bitch body. Bring it to perfection. I will
It's really
throw
something.
her in jail. Is it for life or do we know?
You decide.
Yeah, you
Okay.
decide.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Yeah. without
Okay,
your
so who would you hex so that they fall down the Capitol steps live on CNN, and as they're falling, their pants fall down and their whole ass is exposed and they shart?
Oh gosh, Jim Jordan.
Yes.
Jim Jordan.
It's
for
truly the
sure.
only answer.
And also because he'll have that blue shirt on and the sleeves rolled up, no jacket, of course. Like
No
I don't
blazer.
even believe that was an option. No jacket. Always just he literally destroyed blue button downs for an entire generation of people. Because all I can picture him is like sitting in his office, never going home, with drawers full of those blue shirts, and he just like eats a can of Funyuns and just like sobs into a towel that he's just probably,
So, do you think that he has like a closet full of the same blue shirt, or does he just have the one that he wears every day?
I think he has a closet full of them, and then I can't, and just tons of Funyuns. I feel like he just eats Funyuns and has that shirt, and just wears new shirt, wasteful.
Maybe the shirt is just his skin. He like extrudes it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so he's got like a Trump Loy of a blue shirt tattooed on his body.
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing. Like like with he got the best tattoo artist who could just do like 3-dimensional collar shit. Wow, that is next level. I like that idea. Let's say that's real. I'm gonna start.
And then, that's how we find out when he falls down the Capitol steps if his pants fall down, but he still has pants on.
But the shirt's just remains.
The shirt is untouched. That's how you know it's a
oh my God.
tat.
Okay, I love it. Because what if it's like only tattooed down here, so it's like a dickie, like a weird dickie.
Probably, it's got to be a dicky tattoo.
Oh my God.
Which one of these wonderful people are you bringing to your family reunion?
I'm going to say Lauren Boebert to my family reunion because I feel like she's a drinker. And I feel like that she maybe will get overserved and then, kind of go on to one of those entertaining rants that you wish some family member didn't, but it would be her. So I think it would be really fun to have her just like, you stole my beauty, just be drunk and really having one of those moments where it was just like everything's everyone else's fault, which I feel like is going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Sometimes
that's
big,
who wants her?
I mean, sometimes at big events like that, everybody needs a common villain, so you
Yes.
can all bond over it. She could be
100%.
that person at your family reunion.
Yes.
Yeah. And maybe if she drinks enough, she'll get violent, end up in prison with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes.
So could be a twofer.
Could be a total.
Don't they hate each other? Didn't they have a fight?
Yeah, they're in a
Yeah.
fight now because they had a disagreement over Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy speakering, voting. Yeah.
Of all the people to have a disagreement about.
All right, what's next? Oh, Freaky Friday Mind Swap.
This is a good one.
So
huge opportunity.
So the Freaky Friday Mind Swap, wow, huge opportunity here. And I think that for the Freaky Friday Mind Swap, I'm going to go with Mark Meadows.
Okay.
Because if I can remember the Freaky Friday Mind Swap idea, I could spill all the tea on Trump and the whole administration and make sure that he gets locked up for overthrowing the government.
Yes. You could go into all of his files, all
That's
of his
right.
text, and like go to the
Send
law
it to
enforcement and be like,
everybody.
I want to turn myself in.
Yes, send it to everybody. Like,
That's
just
great.
like doing it. So
This
yes.
is great. I love that you've manipulated the game so we could potentially get 3 of these people imprisoned.
I know. Well, you have to be very strategic about these things, right? It's like because I make all these assessments. I love this game just as a general rule. Like I love this game. And so I'm always like, okay, who could do damage in my presence? Like whose life can I ruin in various ways? Who will just go away quietly? Who needs like a hammer to come down? So, I like to be good about these things. But then also there's always like categories that are left and you're like, oh, that person probably would have been better there. Okay.
It's
karaoke
the
with
stuff of life.
Karaoke with and which song? Okay. So, Mike Pence, I think, is the karaoke person.
Yeah.
And I think that I would do with Mike Pence WAP. And then just have to be just a duet and WAP and Mike Pence has to just.
Okay,
Mike Pence.
Which one of you is the Cardi B and which
Yeah.
one of you is the Megan Thee Stallion?
I think that I'm Cardi B.
Yes.
And he's Megan Thee Stallion.
Yes. Not totally fair to Megan Thee Stallion. But
No.
I think that's right.
I think that's right too. It just seems right, doesn't it?
Him saying wet ass pussy.
Yes.
What a dream.
I mean, it's kind of like, and just also to do it in a karaoke room, maybe with no one else so that he feels utterly uncomfortable because I'm the only woman and Mother is not there. And it's a whole situation.
He's going to get in so much trouble with Mother.
Oh,
So much trouble. Yes. And then throw into the brain worm of Bobby Kennedy. That's the last one, right?
Yeah.
And that clearly makes sense that it's Mike Johnson.
That's right.
Mike Johnson, I mean, just he won't get reception for the Covenant Eyes app. He'll be like in a cave, like it's just hard for him. So how will he be monitoring everybody's porn? Like I feel like we did it. I feel like I'm like, oh, got to the end and that one should have been that, but I feel solid in my choices.
You nailed it. Mike Johnson in that worm being digested, he will be able to text Amy Coney Barrett. It's a real punishment.
It's a real punishment.
Do you think he's inside the worm's tummy, inside RFK's brain?
Oh,
I think he is like a turducken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like to think of it like that.
I like it that way too. Yes,
great.
Slowly dying.
This one said
fully conscious. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, every moment. Moment. No thumbs. Can't use the phone. He just hears the blowing up of his sons just accessing German porn all the time. Cannot stop.
The thumbs are the first to be digested.
Yes. The thumbs are the first to be digested. I love it so much.
In there, unable to do anything.
Yes.
This one said, thanks for coming on our show playing this dumb little game with us.
Oh my God, I love it. Thank you for having a game at the end of a podcast that had a lot of hard stuff to talk about. So it was super fun. You guys are the best.
You're the
And
best.
and are you in Megan? Are you in DC? Is that where you live?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And Lindy,
Yes.
you're still in Seattle?
Yep.
Okay, so I have 2 people to visit now in those cities,
Yes.
and also come to Minneapolis or Brooklyn. Do not forget that I am in both places.
I love Minneapolis. I went
Yes.
there for the first time 2 summers ago, right before they elected their all-women city council.
In St. Paul, I know.
Yeah, it was the best. I
It's
love
the
it there.
greatest. It really is good. So highly recommend. 10 out of 10. I'll show you a good time. You got a
Great.
place to stay.
Yes,
Yay!
Liz. Come back
Thanks, y'all.
anytime. We
Thank
love
you so
you.
much.
So much.
Oh my God, it was so fun. Bye.
Well, Lindy.
Well, Megan, we did another one.
We did.
And this time we did it with Lizz Winstead.
That's true. That's different from all the other times that we've done it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's new for us.
Yeah, and Lizz Winstead was cool.
She's really cool. And how normal do you think you were during her appearance? On a scale of 1 to 10.
6.
Only 6?
4.
Yeah. It was 4.
But I didn't say I watched the Daily Show from the very first episode,
Yeah.
and I didn't say, oh, I was wondering about whether or not you hated Craig Kilborn, and I didn't say, well, where is he now? Because you're on the Text Me Back pod.
I can neither confirm nor deny that we had a pre-production meeting where we were like, should we ask if she hates Craig Kilborn? Then she brought it up, so we didn't even need to ask.
I know, but then we were too shy to ask
I
follow-up
know.
cues.
My
even though
follow-up
I
cues
wanted
were-
to.
Well, I mean, my only follow-up cue is say more.
Yeah.
Tell me
Like,
everything.
If you think I can't, to this day, name the full stable of original season 1 Daily Show correspondents, you're crazy.
You got another thing coming, chump, because she can.
Chomp. So anyway, we played it cool. We rocked. Liz thought we were cool, I think.
I think
And
so.
she invited us to her house.
Dude, she invited us to her pontoon boat in Minneapolis. Hello. We're in.
We're in.
If you want to be cool like Liz and support our podcasts, you can either create the Daily Show and be famous and come on our podcast to help us promote it, or you can subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/textmebackpod. And we can send a really nice fruit basket to Lizz Winstead with your help.
Yep.
Thanks.
Otherwise, without your help, we can't afford it.
No.
So
Lizz Winstead's gonna be walking around Brooklyn and Minneapolis, low blood sugar.
Yep, fruit-free.
No edible arrangement to be seen without your assistance.
Yeah.
So
thanks to our guest Lizz Winstead. Thanks to Megan. Thanks to RFK Jr.'s Brainworm for helping out cleaning up the swamp. And
thanks to the Capitol Steps for letting Jim Jordan fall down them and expose his whole ass. I really appreciate that.
And do a big shart.
Do a big arc shart.
Sharknado. What?
Final announcement. If you've listened this far, I hope you have, because it's an important announcement. We're taking a break next week, bro.
Oh, yeah.
We're very sleepy. That's part of it. Part of it is also we're working on a very ambitious episode for this podcast, and we need a little bit of time to not record the podcast so that we can work on recording a different podcast happening in the future. So next week, you will not see us on your feed. But you know what you should do? You should spend that time doing while you're not listening to our podcast is calling and emailing and texting all of your friends, telling them to listen to our archives. Every single episode. No skips. Thank you.
Thank you. And I mean, if you've missed any of our many episodes, go back and catch up. We love you and we're gonna miss you. We're just gonna be gone for 1 week, okay?
Just 1 week. Relax.
It's not even enough of a vacation for us to find it satisfying.
That's right.
Because we're still gonna be working on the podcast all week. So think we're riding high on the hog. The
We're
hog
not.
is bare.
The hog is habituated trash bear.
Hog.
Hog.
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.